Am I the jerk for not standing up for my dad when my grandparents called him out for being a shitty parent to me? This went down last Saturday. My grandparents came over to talk to my dad. Instead of getting to talk to him, his wife invited them to stay and make lunch. My dad was in and out from the garage where he was working on something. At some point, my grandparents told him to cut the nonsense and get the talk over with. Dad said he didn't understand why they were there. There was some back and forth before my grandparents told him they were tired of him, forgetting he had a responsibility to me and not just his wife's children, especially his wife's son. They told him he goes on and on about his stepchildren, and whenever anyone asks what he's doing, he's spending time with them or just his stepson. They asked what about me, his son, who already lost his mother and didn't need to lose his father too. But then they said I'd already lost him because for the last 3 years and maybe even longer, he has been so checked out on my life. They said they can never ask him about me because he's clueless. The fight got worse. Dad's wife was angry because her children were there and hearing the fight. Dad told my grandparents he had more than just me, and that I had a mother again, his wife, and that she was stepping up to be a good parent to me, while he was stepping up to be a good parent to her children. My grandparents said it was all nonsense and he was excusing being a failure as a father. They said they had raised him to be better and do better. They said my mom would be disgusted with him. This made the fight more intense. I was there the whole time. I said nothing at all, but I did hug my grandparents before they left and thank them for speaking up for me. After they left, my dad asked me why I hadn't said anything and why I hadn't defended him. His wife added that I didn't try to defend her children either. I told my dad I agreed with everything they said and I had talked to them about it a few times already. He said I encouraged disrespect toward him and let it sound like he was a bad dad. His wife added, even though we weren't actually talking to her, that I didn't do anything to shield her children or make them know I loved them while it was going on. I said I let them speak the truth. It was tense after that, of course, and then during the week it was brought up a few more times. Dad and my grandparents fought again. His wife tried to bring up her children, but I didn't focus on that. Dad told me I let him down. I just smiled. He said I am old enough to speak up and not doing so subjected the whole family to a very upsetting rant from my grandparents. He told me I should be better than that. Am I the asshole? You haven't done anything wrong, OP. Good on your grandparents for calling him out. If your stepmother is treating you like an afterthought, then shame on him for allowing her to do that. After he has been letting you down for years, how could he expect anything else from you? Am I the jerk for not sending a close friend a wedding card gift? Hey guys, I am a 25-year-old male and have a friend who is also a 25-year-old male who got engaged and had a wedding party I did not attend. I have known my friend for over a decade and we had a decent relationship. However, recently I noticed a few behaviors from him that suggest that the friendship was not as two-way as I thought. Due to the length of our friendship and him being part of a significant friendship group of mine, I did not bring anything up and let things slide. Now about this wedding. His fiancée lives in the same country as us, but she is from a country abroad. They chose to have the wedding a month ago in her country, and we were invited to come. The invite circumstances were strange. It was brought up a year ago because another friend noticed that he was acting very differently and jokingly suggested that he had proposed. He then told us it was true and that he wanted us to come to the wedding. He told us to share the news with a couple of other mutual friends in the group, which I thought was weird because surely it needed to come from him. We informed the mutual friends about it and how it was going to be abroad, and understandably, they could not make it. I told my friend that I would be there even though it would cost $1,000. Another friend wanted to buy tickets while they were cheap to save money, but I suggested that we wait due to our friend's unreliable history. I said to at least wait for a deposit to be put on the venue. Sure enough, the wedding got canceled for some reasons, and a new date was arranged. The new date was set 6 months later, and this time I was told that the deposit was sorted and most things were arranged. However, due to financial reasons, I remained cautious and waited until the month before to book flights. Other friends all declined the second invite as they could not make it for various reasons. I asked my friend if family and close friends had bought tickets, and he stated that 33 people were definitely flying out. A couple of days before I was about to book the ticket, a friend called and informed me that our friend could not make the wedding and that this information was known for a while. I was furious that this information was not shared, but I did not say anything as our friend was having a hard time. This could have cost me $1,000. That amount could have gone towards my rent. The morning of the wedding, I got a text saying that there was a gathering at his house and that the wedding venue abroad was still being used by his fiancée's family as they had spent so much money on it. I am not sure what it was, but there was a ceremony party. Apparently this information was sent out a week ago and I received it in the morning. I declined. I have not spoken to him since. A mutual friend, however, has now asked 3 times when I will give a card and gift to him. They want to set a time for us all to meet, but I have been rejecting everything and making excuses. This cannot continue, and I will have to meet up with him at some point. Would I be the asshole for not getting him and his fiancée a gift? Seriously, did they get married or not? It's weird he planned a wedding and didn't even tell you he was engaged. Plus, he kept changing the date and acting so strangely the whole time. Sounds like a one-sided friendship if he couldn't even bother to invite you officially. Am I the jerk for giving my wedding dress to my future daughter-in-law instead of my stepdaughter? I, a 42-year-old female, got married 24 years ago. I decided that if I had a daughter, I would pass the dress and accessories on to her. I chose a simple, elegant dress rather than what was fashionable at the time because I wanted something timeless that people could wear for generations to come. I had my son, Mark, now 22 years old, a year after, and his father passed away when he was young. I raised Mark as a single mother for several years. I decided that when Mark married, I would give my dress and accessories to his wife. When I was 33, I met Rob, now 52 years old. I fell in love with him and we quickly married. He became a great father figure for Mark, and I was so excited to have a stepdaughter, Molly, now 24 years old. My relationship with Molly had a rocky beginning. I have been patient and gentle with her. I have offered to take her shopping or get her nails done. I asked Rob about her favorite foods and made sure to cook those. She made it clear that she didn't see me as her real mom. Years passed, and I never changed the way I treated Molly. My door was always open for her, but she never changed the way she thought about me. She called me a trophy wife to my face. If I ever threw a charity event, she would remark, "Wow, you're so generous with Dad's money." While she didn't say anything explicitly, I could tell she looked down on me for not having a college degree. A couple of years ago, I made a final offering to Molly. I brought her into my closet and showed her the dress and accessories and told her I would love for her to wear them at her wedding. Some alterations would have to be done. I am 5 feet 9 inches and a size 4, while Molly is 5 feet 4 inches and a size 8, but we could make it work. Molly scoffed and said I had archaic values and that the dress was trashy and walked out. That really hurt because she knew what that dress meant to me and she didn't care. After that, I stopped making as much of an effort to build a relationship with her. 2 months ago, Mark proposed to his college sweetheart, Lucy, with whom I have a great relationship. When Lucy mentioned dress shopping, I showed her my dress. Lucy tried it on and it fit like a glove. She fell in love with it and I told her the dress, shoes, and accessories were hers. She was so happy she literally cried. However, a couple of days ago, Molly reached out to me out of the blue to ask if the dress was still available. I told her I had given it to Lucy. She asked if I could get it back from Lucy since I offered it to her first, and I told her she said she didn't want it. It fits Lucy perfectly. Lucy is the only one getting married within the foreseeable future. Now Molly is saying I'm favoring Lucy over her because she's conforming to traditional standards of femininity, such as getting married and being thin. That's absolute baloney, but it got me thinking that if the roles were reversed, and Lucy was the one asking for the dress after initially turning it down, would I give it to her? Is Molly right that I'm favoring Lucy? Am I the asshole? You were not at fault here. Why did Molly even reach out to you about the dress, given that she's not getting married? What does she even want to do with something she considers trashy? It's obvious that she only wanted to hurt you because she knew you were giving it to someone else. Am I the jerk for not including my parent in my gender reveal? I need to know if I am the asshole in this situation or if I am the victim. I am 21 years old and 21 weeks pregnant. We just found out we are having a baby girl at our gender reveal. My biological mother and mother-in-law don't exactly like each other. My partner and I are aware of this and we just ask they be civil if they have to see each other, which makes things pretty awkward. I don't have the best relationship with my biological mother, which is hard, but it's how it is unfortunately. The day before my gender reveal, I was talking to my mother as she was unable to be here for the day due to being sick. While talking, she asked why she's never been invited to stay over with my partner and me. We live with my in-laws due to how expensive everything is. I stated she isn't allowed over because my biological mother and mother-in-law don't get along, and I never want to make my mother-in-law feel uncomfortable in her own home. This led to my mother getting angry and hanging up on me. The day of the gender reveal, just as everything was getting started and all guests were arriving, I got a phone call from my grandfather, my mother's father, yelling at me and saying how I need to sort all this out because it's not fair on my mother that she can come over and see my baby when I have her. I stated that since my grandfather doesn't live far, I'll take my baby there for her to see. This led to me giving my phone to my dad for the day, as I didn't want the drama that I felt was coming. I made the decision after the way my grandfather had spoken to me rudely and how he was going off at not only me, but also my siblings, that I wasn't going to include my mother over FaceTime. I was hurt that everything was happening on the day we were celebrating my baby and finding out the gender when it could have been handled on a different day. I later sent my mother the video of the reveal so she could see that my baby was in fact a girl. Within half an hour, I had my stepfather call and verbally abuse me for breaking my mother and saying that she is beside herself and it's all my fault and that I should have my act together. This made me a bawling mess as that day was meant to be a happy one, and I just felt like it was ruined by part of my biological family. So, am I the asshole for not including my mother over FaceTime for my gender reveal, or would others have done the same? If more information is needed, I can explain a bit more. I just wanted the basic info out about it. Your actions were justified, OP. Your mother can't be civil and expects everyone to cater to her, and your grandfather only sees it as unfair to her. It's ridiculous that a soon-to-be grandmother is calling her daddy to complain about her child. You need to protect your mental health and set some boundaries because too much stress is bad for the baby. Am I the jerk for wanting a relationship with my mother-in-law? My husband, who is a 30-year-old male, and I, a 29-year-old female, have been together since we were teenagers. After a few years together, his parents split. The reason was infidelity on his mother's part, and the whole thing tore his family apart. A big argument broke out, resulting in my husband and his siblings cutting ties with their mother. This led to them confessing that she had quite the temper and would occasionally turn to physical force and emotional manipulation during arguments. A couple of years later, we sadly lost my mother to cancer. A year later, we got engaged, and this led to us having a big conversation about my husband's mother. In the end, we agreed to tell her about our engagement and attempt to rebuild bridges. We did this and succeeded. My husband rebuilt a wonderful relationship with his mother, and she came to our wedding. My mother-in-law supported us through a lot over the next few years. She was a shoulder to cry on during infertility. I would phone her in tears anytime it really got to me, especially when friends were all announcing their own pregnancies. She supported me through all the pregnancy stuff despite going through cancer treatment herself at the time. We were so close that my husband and I agreed to tell her about the pregnancy first when I was only about 5 weeks along. The support was mutual. We were taking her to the hospital for her treatments and were both daily and eager to chew about the diagnosis despite having lost my mother to cancer a few years prior. We both put our feelings to one side to support her. Then, once the baby was born via cesarean section and we were home, she was basically my entire support network. Whenever I needed her, day or night, she was there. I probably spoke to her every day from the point my husband and I got engaged. Fast forward to the present day. Another big family argument broke out where the past was all dug up again, and the treatment they had received as teenagers was brought up in the argument. My mother-in-law tried to defend her actions by suggesting that it was self-defense, which obviously angered everyone who had been subjected to it, and my husband immediately made the decision to go no contact once again because she did not acknowledge her actions. I thought this was a bit of a heat-of-the-moment thing, and that he would calm down and they could talk it through after, but we are now a week later, and he still has no interest in ever seeing her or hearing from her again. I feel like she was a great support to us, and in one big argument, everything has been thrown away, and our child has lost out on the relationship they had with their grandmother. After realizing that my husband has no intention of talking the situation through with her, I began grieving mine and my child's relationship with my mother-in-law. I had a conversation with my husband where I told him that I respect his decision, but I don't agree with it. He said that if I want to maintain a relationship with her, I can, but he has no interest in rebuilding bridges again. And if I do, be careful. Am I the asshole for wanting that relationship? You're not blameless. Her abuse comes back up, and it turns out she's not really repentant, not really apologetic, and is victim blaming your husband and his siblings. Now you're telling your husband, your other half, that you care more about having a mommy than the fact that you're keeping his selfish abuser in his life. If you continue this, he might end up divorcing you. Am I the jerk for refusing to help my parents out financially because they only help my siblings and never me? I am a 30-year-old male, the oldest of 5 siblings. My siblings are a 28-year-old female, a 27-year-old male, a 25-year-old male, and a 23-year-old female. Our parents were always generous with giving money when asked for it, except when it was me. I was told I should learn to work hard. I was told I didn't need the new video game or toy. I was told earning money was the only way I'd ever have money, and I hadn't earned money from them. But my siblings could get whatever they wanted. When I first graduated from college, I ended up struggling financially because where I went to work, the cost of apartments was so high. I asked my parents if they could help me out, and they said no. I ended up in a shelter for a few weeks, and then rented a dump of an apartment with a friend who found himself in the same situation. They not only helped my siblings through college, which they didn't do for me, but they gave each of them lump sums after they graduated to help them get started in life. They also helped them out when asked over the years, especially during the COVID years. They didn't offer any money to help toward my wife and my wedding. We didn't ask. But it stood out more when my 28-year-old sister got engaged, and our parents had mentioned money for all the weddings. Again, it was all except for mine. Only now this is all caught up with them, and they are in a very tight spot with money. They're asking me for money too. They told me they need my wife and my help, and we should do it because of how great they have been, and they never say no to any of us. I told them they never helped me with anything, that they preferred to see me homeless rather than help me out. They argued back that it never happened and I could have asked if things were that bad. I showed them screenshots of texts where I had brought the topic up after asking them verbally. My parents dismissed it and then told me they're still my parents, and I'm the most settled and I could afford to help them. I admitted that I could, but I didn't feel they had earned it. My parents called me spiteful and said I should help my parents rather than see them lose everything. I told them to ask the kids who they helped. My siblings were also upset I said no. They told me mom and dad don't deserve my pettiness. Am I the asshole? You are not in the wrong. The parents clearly set up this dynamic by choosing not to support one of their children. It's not pettiness or revenge. It's simply the consequences of their past actions finally catching up. The siblings who benefited from the parents' support should be the ones to reciprocate and help out. They made it clear that it wasn't the responsibility of the child they neglected, and now it's time for them to step up. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.